Counter-Strike's Forgotten Controversies. 15 minutes ago uploaded. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Boys, let's watch an absolute of a banger. Goldec, one of my favorite YouTubers right now. Boys, let's get into it in 3, 2, 1.
Hit. I got it. No.
Oh, baby.
They wasted like 3 smokes.
The year is 2015. 16 teams, $250,000 on the line at ESL 1 Katowice 2015. Out of those 16 teams, 1 team held a dark secret, and that team was Cloud9. Now, let me play back this match between Cloud9 versus Virtus Pro, and let me know if you can hear exactly what this dark secret is that they're trying to hide or failing to hide.
Hit. I got it. Pistol.
Middle,
Metal dead.
Dude, the old AK sound.
Came out the arch. On balcony. Come me sight. Drop. Outside. Drop.
Yeah, they're all tweaking the fuck out. Now, why might they be bugging so hard? Meth. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't meth, but it was one methyl group away from being meth. It's a legal and lab-approved version.
What? Oh man, I don't know the story.
Adderall. Just like any tournament, a swimming tournament, the Olympics, basketball, esports, they all face the problem of performance-enhancing drugs. Cloud9 is one of the few teams to have ever been confirmed to be using PEDs at an esports match. As funny as it may be, or pretty much harmless as it may seem, Adderall is actually a pretty insane advantage you can have against another team. So Cloud9 must have won, right? Nah, they lost 16-11.
Ouch!
Well, how do we even know they were using Adderall in the first place? One of the Cloud9 players named Semphis told the casters,
I don't even care. We were all on Adderall. Like,
Lol. This was years after though, right?
I don't even give a fuck. Like, it was pretty obvious, like, if you listen to the comms, like, I don't know, people can hate it or whatever.
Everyone does the Adderall at ESALN, right?
Yeah.
each team member of Cloud9 was on Adderall as well.
Michael?
It didn't even really matter anyways, as they pretty much confirmed that most pro players at tournaments are on Adderall anyways. They received no repercussions for this, or really any punishment in general. This is just one of many controversies that I'm going to talk about in this video, so sit back and enjoy.
Interesting.
Oh, also, don't let me forget, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Skin Club. Please only...
Don't get me.
Now, the next controversy does contain some disturbing information, so if you don't like that, then go ahead and skip to the time
This video is dark.
stamp on screen. This entry isn't just isolated to Counter-Strike, but also Half-Life 2 as well. On the date November 1st, 2004, Counter-Strike Source was released. It was even released before Half-Life 2, which was released 15 days after it. Counter-Strike Source was a great way to test Valve's new engine, the Source engine. While mappers got onto creating some fun and wacky Counter-Strike Source maps in the shitty-ass Hammer editor, they might have wanted to place some props around for some storytelling. Maybe you'd want to put a ragdoll or a corpse in an alleyway or something to show that someone may have died there. Well, going to place a ragdoll, you can find one named corpse01.mdl. This is a seemingly innocent corpse model that definitely looked like a corpse. Well, that's because it was a real corpse. A corpse from a real person, or at least the face was, which is the most disturbing part of it. This wasn't even discovered until recently, taking over 18 years to be discovered. It was found in a forensics textbook showing the face of a burned
Oh my god. Source image is way too graphic to show unblurred. Jesus!
victim. Like I said, some pretty disturbing stuff, and quite controversial considering if you played Half-Life 2, or any Source games in fact, you've likely seen this corpse model everywhere for storytelling. Well, it's actually the one and only corpse model in the game, so thankfully there weren't more than one of them. Players and fans are unsure how to feel about having unknowingly been staring at the corpse of a real person this entire
Bro, that's crazy. Half-Life, it's some kids played that game, no? That is crazy.
time when playing Half-Life 2 or a Counter-Strike Source map with the model in it. Now, moving on to a more lighthearted controversy. If you ever played the original Counter-Strike, especially back in the day, you might be familiar with this flashbang bug early on in the game. For example, if you toss a flashbang right here on this box in Dust 2, it would somehow bug out and actually be able to flash people in upper tons. This bug was very common across most maps as well, one of them being on Ramp on Nuke, where if you threw the flash under this box somehow, it flashed the entirety of Ramp and under a ladder, whether you were facing the flashbang or not. This was of course fixed, and in and of itself was somewhat controversial, more so just an annoying bug that needed to be fixed. The main reason this is even on this list is because of a match in 2003 between the team MIBR and Team 3D. The team MIBR was thought to have abused this bug because they accidentally threw this flash once against Team 3D. They were then punished with this nuke win becoming a loss, and then they subsequently lost the next game on Inferno, losing best 2 out of 3. This caused a ton of drama within the pro scene at the time because the IGL for Team 3D said,
"You have to take responsibility for your actions either way. When you throw a flash near somewhere that could possibly cost you a round, you have to be ready to deal with the consequences that come with it."
even though Team 3D themselves had been known for abusing a similar flash on Aztec that was even more OP than the one on Nuke, but they were never punished for it. Players were of course really pissed at this. Just some old school drama that has most likely been forgotten today. A very controversial addition to CSGO was the Molotov. On release, it was considered insanely broken by almost everyone. Now, in my latest video, I kinda said everyone was basically being crybabies and bitching about it, similar to the smoke in CS2, but as I did more research into it, I definitely would have been crying about it as well. Well, how was it any different than the Molotov we have today? First off, the Molotov on the release of CSGO all the way back in 2012 was basically the Molotov we have today, but on a lethal amount of steroids. Not only could you not put the Molotov out with smoke, like at all, it also slowed players down significantly when inside of it, making it impossible to run through it, and it also did a ton more damage than it does today. Aside from them being unextinguishable, not being able to run through them, and doing way more damage, they also did not explode mid-air like they did today. So you could do some skillless
bro, that's crazy. Molly across the map. I remember like there was some HLTV posts or like comments from back in the day where pros are crying and are asking for the molly to get fully removed.
Molly
that makes
lineups
sense.
Like some Valorant shit, tossing them all the way across the map while you wait for someone to defuse it.
That's
a bunch of
OP as
pro
hell.
players and organizations were actually very close to straight up banning it from pro matches. Thankfully, Valve listened to the complaints and nerfed it into perfection, leaving no more real complaints today from players or professional players in general. A very controversial feature added to a Counter-Strike game was called the Black Market, which was added to Counter-Strike Source 2 years after its launch for some reason. This feature was essentially a weapons economy system, or another name was dynamic weapon pricing. It's a pretty simple feature but a bit hard to explain, so I'll try and do my best. This feature would change the prices of all weapons bought based on how popular they were every Monday. So let's say 30% of the player base bought the M4A1, because duh, that's a gun everyone usually buys. The next Monday, the price of the M4A1 would go up 30%.
Nah, I love that! That's so cool. That forces like different. Nah, bro. That makes the gameplay different every single week. One week at the beginning, everybody uses the AK because it's the most used weapon, and then boom, the price shoots up. You have to use something else. Nah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
30% because 30% of the player base bought it the week before. The price going up from 3,100 to 4,030. This is kind of a ridiculous price for it, so players might start buying the FAMAS, right? So let's say 40% of the players then start buying the FAMAS to save on money. Well, the next week the FAMAS would then go up 40%.
That's so cool. Guys, I'm not saying like, oh my god, like I wish CSGO had that or like CS2 has that now, but what a fun concept. In like self-changing meta every week.
From 2,200 to 3,150, which is now more than the M4A1 is originally priced. And since more people are buying the FAMAS, that means less people are buying the M4A1, thus making the prices for the M4A1 going back down, making
like at one point, because nobody is buying like a Negev or something, all of a sudden the Negev costs like fucking what? Is it only price increase or also price decrease if nothing is used? Because imagine all of a sudden, like, I don't know, like a 500. Oh, Bruder, that's so cool.
making the FAMAS useless to buy again, and then the cycle would repeat.
Both! Oh, man.
Obviously, that's a very simplified version of it, and the pricing was a bit more skewed than that. Here's a chart for the M4A1 where at one point it got up to around
What? 6,000. Oh, my God. Total purchases this week, 500K. Dollars spent this week, 3. What is this?
$7,000. And really popular guns, not even good ones mind you, like the Deagle for example, would get to $5,000. This would also work in reverse to where really unpopular guns would get insanely cheap. So cheap in fact that at one point the MAC-10 got to $140. And the Glock, since no one would actually buy it, got so cheap
That's less than a flashbang.
at one point where you could spam by so many it would crash the whole server. Let's just say that this feature was very controversial. It was admittedly a cool idea in my opinion, but very poorly executed. Maybe it could have been used on its own game mode or something, but it completely ruined the whole gameplay and competitiveness of the game. So it thankfully got removed a couple months after it was added.
Crazy.
The last controversy I want
Fraps? Oh man, bro, bring me back in time.
The last controversy I wanted to
Was this for Fraps? Oh, Fraps.com or Bandicam chat. Oh man.
it could have been used on its own game mode or something, but it completely ruined the whole gameplay and competitiveness of the game. So it thankfully got removed a couple months after it was added. The last controversy I want to talk about is a very unknown one, at least it was to me. And before it ends, let me know in the comments if you guys would like me to continue this series down the line, talking about more controversies from Counter-Strike games. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see it if I do make it. This controversy has to
Please, not the ohnePixel controversy, please.
do with Counter-Strike Source.
Oh.
Again, this game in general was pretty controversial, so no surprise. This entry has to do with the Orange Box update, which affected all Source games at the time, including Half-Life 2 and Counter-Strike Source, which, if you're not familiar with the Orange Box, it was basically a set of discs released for PC that included Team Fortress 2, Portal 1, and Half-Life 2. All of the games, of course, being on the new Source engine, quite iconic at the time. Since it was released on a much more accessible physical disc, and Steam wasn't too popular at the time, it of course meant new people were going to be introduced to the Source engine, and it seems like Valve wasn't too pleased with the Source engine prior to the Orange Box release. So they updated the entire engine to appeal to the newer people, and so they wouldn't see how broken the early version of the Source engine was. Counter-Strike Source used to be very different before this Orange Box update, so different in fact that many people left the game because of the changes to the engine. The old Source engine had a ton of problems like horrible netcode issues, glitches, and movement, especially bunny hopping, which I'm sure you're all familiar with Foon.
Oh, baby.
This video so many people are familiar with is of course called Foon Too Much for Z-Block, but most people aren't exactly familiar with what Z-Block is. Like me, I honestly thought it was the name of a map or something, but I'm not the smartest fellow. Z-Block was a server plugin that would attempt to fix all exploitable CVAR or console commands and make them server-side. Z-Block was also meant to make bunny hopping much harder or block it altogether, which is why the video is called Foon Too Much for Z-Block, showing that he can get past Z-Block with his movement scripts. Which yes, he was scripting and it's not much of a secret, but that's besides the point. After the Orange Box update, or better known as Counter-Strike Source version 34, Valve made changes to basically everything in the engine, including bunny hopping by adding a server-side velocity cap, changing weapon sprays, fixing the horrible netcode, and just the general feeling of the game and Source games as a whole. The bunny hopping was even nerfed in Half-Life 2 as well, which is why you can no longer do the infamous backwards B-hop in Half-Life 2. The bunny hopping being nerfed is widely believed to be because of players like Foon, which is why I talked about him. And like I mentioned earlier, Z-Block was meant to fix exploitable CVAR commands, which this newer version of the Source engine actually added server-side commands SV_enable bunny hopping and SV_enable boost. This version of Source was also of course meant to be cleaner and more fleshed out. It was actually supposed to be an improvement to the game, but to most of the OG Source players, it ruined the feeling of it. This update was very controversial to the players at the time and made them stop playing the game overall, but to most players, it was an unnoticeable update and honestly an essential one for the life of the game and Source games in general. Well, that's it for today's video. Big thanks to all my YouTube members still supporting me, and just a big thanks to all my fans in general. I love you guys, and I don't thank you guys enough. As always, make sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you didn't like it, go and leave a comment why, and I'll try to do better next time.
I loved it. As always, Goldec. W mother sucking video, bro. I didn't know these things. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Boys, leave Goldec some love as always. Boom, right here, yeah. Drop him a sub, drop a follow, open the video. Give it a like, then let it play out fully. So for full watch time, just open it on your phone, throw your phone on the bed, leave it there for 10 minutes. Your editing has gotten really good, dude. Keep this good stuff up, 100%. What a fun video, bro. What a fun fucking video. I enjoyed that.